I'm going to share something I've learned about myself with you in hopes that it can help you as you try to go through the same process of growing and expanding that I am. So here's what I've learned. We grow by doing. We procrastinate by learning. Here's what I mean by that. One of the things I've learned about myself is that one of my very, very most effective means of procrastinating is researching, studying, learning new things. And what I find is this: when there is something that I know I should do to grow my business that I don't want to do because maybe it's hard, maybe it's real work, maybe it's like I'm scared that I may not succeed with it, whatever that is, I immediately turn to my favorite research, learning, studying modes and go off and lose an hour of my life looking around at those things. And you know, the cool thing is, as I'm out there, I'm getting dopamine hit after dopamine hit, or I don't know all the different kinds of chemicals in the brain, but you know, those happy chemicals. It happens over and over again. And I keep going, yeah, okay, that's really cool. I ought to share that with everybody on my next live or those kinds of things. I'm getting those kinds of hits over and over again, and it makes you feel really happy. But at the end of that hour, I've done nothing to move my business forward. And so I've been thinking about this a lot of how do I manage this process of doing versus learning, researching, studying. And it's important for you to recognize that one of the things I'm not saying here, and I can't get this card, it's stuck. Okay. I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn. What I am saying is that you should learn on the job, as opposed to saying, I'm going to go learn this thing before I start the job. So for example, here's a project. Now, in order to do this, here are the things that I need to learn first in order to be able to do that project. And so then I can go lose a week of my life learning those things, maybe buying new tools or oftentimes it ends up costing money as I go figure out buying a new training, buying a new tool, buying whatever that enables me to do that thing. So that's one way of doing it. Here's the project. Here's the things I need to learn to get there. The other way is doing this. Here's my project. I'll just get started and I'll figure that stuff out as I go along in that project. So let me give you an example of this. When I was in high school, I loved basketball. I thought I was going to go to college and be a star basketball player and maybe, just maybe, do the NBA. Well, about as unrealistic as you can get in terms of anticipation, but I went to a number of big, high basketball camps in the world. And here's what I discovered. When you walk onto the floor, so you buy this week at this basketball camp, you're going to stay in the dorms, you're going to be hanging out with their basketball players and their coaches and things like that. And it's one of the ways the coaches scout out their teams for the future. What ends up happening is when you walk in the first day, the thing they don't do is sit you down in a classroom and spend the next 4 hours teaching you how to shoot, how to get rebounds, how to do this. What they do is you walk in and they toss you a basketball and you start playing. And after about 15 minutes of shooting around and, you know, doing those kinds of things, you hear a whistle. The coach brings you in. He says, here's what I want to tell you. Basketball is a contact sport. I'm going to teach you how to play basketball as a contact sport without fouling out. Let's go. I want all the big guys over here. And then he brings us in and he teaches us how to box out and how to do all those kinds of things. All right. So what he just did is he spent 3 minutes teaching, and then we went and did. And what ends up happening is that when you learn on the job, when you are using the basketball example and actually learn with the basketball in your hand as opposed to a pencil and a paper in your hand, what ends up happening is that learnings are applied. I can tell you, I have had people trying to teach me how to box out in basketball, that so that you know who aren't basketball players. When you're a big guy and the shot goes up, you're supposed to go find somebody from the other team and put your backside up against them and spread out and get wide so that they can't go around you to get the rebound. That's called boxing out. I have learned far more being on the floor, actually boxing out people, than I ever would sitting in a room learning how to do it or Googling it and seeing how people do it or even watching it on YouTube. So when you learn on the job, your learnings are applied. Secondly, they stick better. You just understand those learnings afterwards better, and you learn faster too. I just went through this process literally 2 hours ago where I said, I need to learn how to do this one thing, and I'll explain it to you after I finish learning it. And so here's what I did. I started a project and started working on it and then Googled how to do it as I went along, as opposed to, let's go Google this and figure out how to do it. It's a totally different experience when you start the project and you're actually working towards a goal and you're Googling and figuring out how to do that thing as you go along. What it really comes down to is the concept of dopamine management. Do you want to try to get those instant hits of, hey, I just figured out how to do something, pooh, a little happy chemical goes off in your brain? Or would you rather have the end goal of, I've just accomplished this thing. Look, I've got this opt-in incentive up. I got this landing page bringing me in things. I've got sales coming in. I've created this webinar. I got whatever it is. Would you rather get the little hits or get the big hit of actually having results that build your business? My suggestion is that you start managing your life towards getting results being the thing that gives you those dopamine hits, as opposed to getting learnings. As you start shifting the way you manage your time, manage your life, manage your brain, manage your processes, what ends up happening is you get more of those results, as opposed to having a brain full of information that really is doing nothing for you. I invite you to think about that. Could that be a mental mindset shift? That instead of saying, okay, I'm going to go learn all this stuff, I'm going to go buy these programs, I'm going to go attend this live conference, I'm going to go do these things and spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours learning how to do something. Instead of doing that, say, I'm just going to get started and I'm going to pick those pieces up as I go. How would your life be different? What would your results be differently? What's your thoughts? What's your experience? You agree? Disagree? Think I'm foolish? Let me know in the chat. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.